Welcome back to No One Asked Us. This is the show where Craig and I just kind of ramble on for a while. Craig, what episode number are we on? Because I'll be honest with you, I've already lost track. Episode 8. 8 or 9? 8 or 9? You don't really know either. He's Craig Show. I'm Logan Lee. It's 8. Episode 8 of No One Asked Us. Craig is at a remote location, unbeknownst to the world. He's on assignment, and he's Skyping in with us live for the show. So, Craig, greetings and salutations. Happy Sunday night. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Got a little vacation here.
Yeah.
So hoping to get some sun here in the next couple days. But yeah, it was nice to get away from central Illinois and the borders of Illinois for a little while.
So you're getting sun. That means you're probably somewhere just a little bit south of Champaign. So you're probably back home in Pinckneyville. We'll go with that. We had a lot to talk about this week, as we mentioned here a little bit. Not nearly as exciting of a show as we've had the last few weeks with everything going on with college basketball, but we've got a few things we want to touch on. First and foremost, we talked about it a little bit last week, and the Ayo Dosunmu decision happened pretty much right after we recorded. I think his tail went down.
Yeah.
Like, we recorded Monday night, and that happened on Tuesday. And then our show came out like right after that happened. Whatever the case, Ayo declared for the NBA draft. Not really a shock to anybody. He said he's hiring an agent. He's doing the whole 9 yards. He's going to be maybe a lottery pick, definitely a first round pick. I mean, I'm sure your initial reaction was shocker, just like the rest of us. But what did you take from that? The mass exodus, as I've called it. He was the second Illini to announce he's leaving. But again, as I said, that one really wasn't a shock. So what was your thoughts when he made his announcement on the jump with Rachel Nichols?
That was my first thought, was an Illinois basketball
He's replacing
player
Paul Pierce?
No, not exactly. My thought was an Illinois basketball player just announced he's foregoing his senior season, going to the NBA on ESPN's premier NBA show. Like, if that's not the best recruiting pitch for the program, I don't know what else is. He put out a tweet, just a screenshot earlier in the day. ESPN The Jump at 2:40 Central Time, and everyone knew what it was. I mean, that's exactly what we thought it was going to be, was him announcing that he's going to the draft. But to do it on ESPN with Rachel Nichols and Richard Jefferson and Kendrick Perkins, like, you don't get any bigger. And that's my biggest takeaway from this, is Illinois is back on the map. I know we're really looking down on what happened the last couple weeks because of their early exit, but they just had their best player in decades declare for the NBA draft on ESPN Live. Like, that is huge, and there's no other way to say it. That's ginormous for the program.
I reached out to a former schoolmate of ours who's a producer for The Jump to ask if he was involved with the booking of that. And Curtis informed me that he was not involved in the booking of Ayo Dosunmu. But we were chatting a little bit back and forth about that. But no, you bring up an excellent point, and this is something that I've kind of been, hearing quite a bit about this last week, listening to different people talk on, whether it be a podcast or a show or whatever the case may be. But with the way that the transfer portal is shaking out this year and how that's changing everything, it's so important to be able to sell your program to recruits, whether that's an incoming high school player or whether that's to somebody that's going to transfer into your program. And Illinois hasn't really been able to sell their program for a long time. The last time that Illinois basketball was really relevant was the mid 2000s. The 2004, 2005 team to the 2005, 2006 team. I mean, they've had some decent teams in there since then, but they've had one first round draft pick in the last 15 years. So having a team like this helps a lot, and having a player like Ayo, I mean, that's huge for what you're looking to do and what you need. If you're Brad Underwood and his coaching staff, trying to continue to build this program. You had a great couple seasons, really, the past 2 years. Now it's looking like it could be more of a rebuild. but having, Ayo on a national stage declaring that, I mean, that's huge. That's just a huge, not a huge get necessarily. It's a big loss of anything, but just to be able to do that and show recruits and show transfer possibilities, that this is who our program is. These are the kind of players that we build here. That's a huge thing for a program that's looking to build.
Yeah, and I think it helps that Ayo's a great kid, comes from a great family, and when he got off the show, I think Kendrick Perkins and Richard Jefferson were like, that kid's got it. That kid's gonna do big things, just because he is such a good kid and he's got a good head on his shoulders and a great support system in his family and his circle. So not only is he announcing it on ESPN on the jump, he's presenting himself and the university and the program very, very well.
And you mentioned, with him being, being a great kid like he is, and saying all the right things, and catching the attention of Richard Jefferson and Kendrick Perkins, that's one of those things where you think that, I hate to keep harking back to this, but a deeper run into the tournament would have put him into more of the national spotlight. I mean, he already kind of had. He was obviously in the discussion, the Player of the Year discussion. He was the Cousy Award winner. He was the first team All-American. He was in those discussions as it was. But you have to think, had they made it a few rounds later, and there could have been even more national conversation about him, maybe being able to see more of his personality. A lot of people are going to see that, as he gets to the higher level and, takes his talents to the NBA. And, I really hope that he has a great NBA career. I'm not totally sure where he fits in on a team. I think he kind of, is that 1-2 type of hybrid position that, some teams will, I'm sure he'll find the right fit for him, but just the kind of guy he is, kind of player he is, that's something that I'm really excited that, the rest of the basketball world can really understand and see, not just Illinois country and Big Ten people.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be, I'm not exactly sure where he fits in the NBA. I think it's probably a good thing for him. He's probably going to go late in the first round, which means he's probably going to go to a team that has had a little success. So he's not going to have to come in and do what Cade Cunningham's going to have to do, being a top 3 pick. But Ayo does some things that have kind of gone away from the NBA. NBA, it seems like it's either a two-handed throwdown in the paint or a 45-footer from the logo. And right. Ayo really excelled at the mid-range game and kind of shaking his defender and getting his shot off. Now, will he be able to get that off in the NBA? Will he be able to shake those defenders, those NBA defenders? That's yet to see. But I think he's got the work ethic. He's got the drive to want to be successful. But I do think he's someone that needs to go to the right franchise that will set him up for success. I'm sure we'll dissect more of his draft stock once the draft comes, because we still got months before that happens. But it was a great moment for the university. You touched on the postseason. I think that's the one thing that's missing from his resume. Maybe the one thing that keeps him off of the Illini Mount Rushmore, just because he only played in 2 postseason games. That's not completely his fault, but because in a way you can look at him as almost more important than those guys that made postseason runs, because he came to Illinois in their most desperate time of need when no one else wanted to come here. So in a way, you can look at him as on the Mount Rushmore because he did bring this program back to a number 1 seed, but it would have been nice to see him at least get to the second weekend of the NCAA tournament.
Right. No, I agree. Looking forward to, seeing what happens with Ayo down the road. As we said, I think he is somebody that can, have a good pro career and definitely help out a team. And we'll talk more about that as we get closer to the NBA draft.
I want to read off his, I want to read off his career numbers real quick before we go.
Yeah,
I got
absolutely.
I tweeted it out.
You got it pulled up.
Of course it had a typo in it when I tweeted it out. It never fails. But here they are. He scored 1,504 points, 435 rebounds, 351 assists. So those career averages for 3 years: 16.7 points, 4.8 boards, 3.9 assists. His 2021 averages: 20.1 points, 6.3 rebounds, 5.3 assists. That is a phenomenal season.
Yeah.
26-5 from a 6'5" guard. That's pretty incredible. Yeah. He had 4 30-point games, which is the 7th most in the history of Illinois, all of them coming this year, which is the 4th most for a single season. 28 20-point games, which is the 8th most all time. And of course, something I forgot to put in the tweet, he did have those 2 triple doubles, 2 of only 4 in school history. So just one last time, props to Ayo on an incredible career. It sucks we're not going to see it, but he's ready for that next step. We'll see the 11 hanging in the rafters. I'm sure early next year they'll get that up there, and hopefully fans will be there to see it raised. But end of an era for the orange and blue, and the rebuild era for the program, and it's a lot thanks to Ayo Dosunmu.
Certainly, he's certainly one of the, you mentioned the Mount Rushmore thing, and I mean, he'll obviously go down as, one of the, if not maybe the greatest player in school history. And he was huge for the rebuild of this program. But kind of transitioning into this next topic here, I wanted to touch on a little bit. He was the first of 3 Illini players to announce that they were going to declare themselves for the draft and all that good stuff. The second was Giorgi, and we'll get to Giorgi in a second, but Trent Frazier, I think, deserves a ton of credit for where this program went to. Trent was brought on with the Gross regime, and there was not much to work with there, and he stuck through it. And Trent is able to potentially come back for a 5th year if he chooses to. And that was, his initial tweet that he sent out didn't make it seem like he was even leaving that on the table. But then he went back on it and said he's hiring an NCAA approved agent, which means that he could potentially come back for the 5th year. And I think that would be huge. But again, and Giorgi too also announced that he was going to declare for the draft. Neither one of those players are going to be NBA draft picks. If anything, maybe late second, but I don't see that happening on either front. Giorgi is going to take the opportunity to go play overseas and play closer to home and be closer to his family. I mean, the kid hasn't seen his family hardly at all the last 4 years. Since he's been in Champaign. So I'm happy for both of them. But as I said, Trent kind of leaving the door open a little bit that he might come back for that 5th year. And as I said, that would be huge. And we don't need to dwell on that too much right now, at least. But were you shocked, surprised by either of those announcements this week?
No, not now. If you would have asked me a month and a half, 2 months ago, I think I would have told you that Trent's coming back. He's going to take advantage of that extra year. But as the season progressed and Illinois started to look better and better, and he kind of got back to his scoring ways a couple times late in the season, it started leaning towards he's going to go play professionally because he's kind of built himself up to be able to do that. So I'm not all surprised, but it was interesting that he declared. And then people started replying to him. He's like, hold on. Let me throw this in there. I'm not leaving for good. I'm hiring the NCAA agent, which would allow me to come back. So I think there would be mutual interest if that's the route he does want to go, because it's not going to hurt to have a 5th-year player in Trent Frazier, who's, I think, been a 4-year starter. I think he started from the get-go.
He was.
And there's talks that he's kind of wants to come back, but he also wants to feel things out. So that's what you have to do. You have to declare yourself so you can get that feedback, and then you can come back. The most impressive thing with Trent, though, is, like you said, he committed to Gross. He stuck with Underwood. And then his freshman year, he was the go-to guy. Like, he was the scorer on that team. And then his sophomore year, Ayo comes in. Ayo's now the guy. Trent has to take a back seat. And he goes from, and Brad Underwood has said this multiple times, he goes from someone that couldn't guard our grandparents to, Brad said, the best defender in the Big Ten. Now, he didn't get the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year award, but if you watched an Illinois game, he made a huge impact on the defensive end of the court, and that's something he wasn't doing his freshman year. So the improvement and the 180 that he did, that he made, says a lot to him as a person. He took a back seat to Ayo Dosunmu, who became an All-American. He played his role, and he did it well, and he got Illinois back to the postseason. Like you said, he was kind of the flag bearer, the first guy that started this rebuild. So a lot of praise does need to go to Trent. I don't want to call him the unsung hero because he was a face, he was a big name of that program, but I don't think he got as much credit as he deserved, especially these last 2 years as we watched Ayo kind of take things over.
Right. No, him and Giorgi both had similar paths. I mean, both of them came in their freshman year, had huge freshman seasons. I mean, record type of freshman seasons. And then the following year, Trent took a back seat to Ayo, and then Giorgi took a back seat to Kofi. But they both, stuck it out. They didn't leave. They didn't whine about it. Giorgi became a backup post player and had moments where he shined. He shined in that Big Ten championship game. Absolutely shined. I mean, he had 10 points in a row in that huge win against Ohio State. I mean, that they wouldn't have won that game without Giorgi. And so both of those players, both Trent and Giorgi, had, as I said, had a similar paths to get there. I think there's a good chance. I think there's a chance, obviously, Trent could come back. And if he does, at this rate, he might be the go-to scorer. I mean, we don't really know what the roster is going to look like next year. We don't know if Kofi's coming back. Curbelo is obviously going to have an impact, and who knows who else could come in on the transfer market. But, I mean, it's very possible that Trent could go back to being the number one scoring option like it was his freshman year. And, if that's the case, I'm sure he's obviously considering that. So we know Adam Miller's leaving. We know Ayo will be gone. Giorgi's going to be gone as well. So that's definitely three. Trent's obviously a potential fourth. And as I said, we don't really know about the Kobe situation. So a lot of question marks still up in the air for the Illinois basketball season. I'm sure we'll keep touching on that as we get through the off season, as the transfer portal starts to shape it up a little bit. And who knows what will happen with that. I mean, it's could be anybody's game. It's a whole new world in college basketball for coaches, for fans, for everybody to see what's going on there. So happy for both of those players. Hope to see them do well. I'm glad that Giorgi gets to go do his thing.
Yeah, I've seen Giorgi a couple times around campus just within the last 2 or 3 weeks, and the kid never doesn't have a smile on his face. I know we're wearing masks now, and you can't see everyone's mouths at all times, but you can just tell he's a happy person. And when he announced his decision, I put out there, I never covered anyone else like Giorgi Bezhanishvili, and no one else ever will, because there is no one else like Giorgi Bezhanishvili. And if we all approach life the way that he approaches life, the world would be a much better place. Like, he's always happy. He's always in the best mood. He never has a down day. And that, I think, fed off onto his teammates. And this team always seemed like they were having a good time probably because they were with Giorgi all the time, and he was dancing and hugging coaches and doing all this crazy stuff that Giorgi does. And we talk about how important Trent was to the program, but like you said, Giorgi was just as important for the things he did, and not necessarily on the court all the time, because he did fall off a little bit. I mean, he averaged 12.5 points his freshman year, and he averaged 5.1 points this last year. So he accepted the fact that Kofi came in, and very similar to Trent, Kofi came in and he dominated the post, and that wasn't Giorgi's game. But when Giorgi did come in, he always gave energy. It wasn't always good energy, because he would always at least make one early mistake or something. But like you said, in the Big Ten championship. He saved them. He pretty much won them the Big Ten championship. So I know Trent is leaving the door open. Adam Miller is likely not coming back, but I think he wants to come back. And it sucks, but I don't think that decision is being made by him. But I think Giorgi's gone. I don't think we see Giorgi back in Champaign because what you said, he hasn't seen his family, and he's so close to his family, and he hasn't seen them for so long. And I had someone tell me that they were really pressuring him to come back and start making a living playing professionally, and he will over there. I mean, we've seen much worse players go over to Europe and find a league and shine in that role in that league. So Giorgi will have a pro career over in Europe, and he's going to be missed in Champaign, but I don't think he'll ever be forgotten because you don't forget a guy like Giorgi Bezhanishvili.
No, absolutely. He's an Illini legend, and he'll definitely be missed on this team. But as you said, who knows what this next year's roster is going to look like? But that's neither here nor there. We'll get to that topic a little later, a little later on in the summer as we learn a little bit more. So last week we found out some things about some stuff going on in Missouri Valley Football Conference, which I know at the time you were a little fired up about, rightfully so. I think I was as well. But unfortunately, we had a lot of stuff in our episode last week, so we didn't really touch on this too much. But Craig, would you like to tell the people a little bit what's going on in the Missouri Valley in terms of the spring football season that they're playing? Would you like to enlighten the audience that isn't familiar with FCS football?
Well, first of all, if you're not familiar with FCS football, you should be.
Get on our level.
Yes, exactly.
Go Dogs.
All right, so right. Of course. So back during COVID in the fall, a bunch of FCS, if not all of FCS said, we're going to play in the spring. We're going to wait this out, and we're going to make a decision, and we're going to play our schedules in the spring. We're not ready to do it in the fall. Okay, so I'm pretty sure, and I'm not positive on this, aren't there 11 MVFC schools now, or are there 10?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay. Added
11,
North Dakota
11.
this year.
You're right.
11. Okay,
11,
so
yeah.
11. North Dakota makes 11 FCS or MVFC schools. They all agreed we're going to play in the spring, except for Indiana State. Indiana State said, no, we are not playing in the spring. They said this before the spring schedule was released. All right, that's okay. We'll play with 10 this year. So they make the schedule. Those 10 teams agree to play a spring football schedule. March 21st rolls around. Illinois State says, you know what? We're not going to play anymore. We have too many injuries. It's not safe for our players. We're not going to play. We're done. Okay. All right, whatever. April 5th, last week, Western Illinois says, we're not going to play. We have too many injuries. We're not going to play anymore for concern for the safety and well-being of our student athletes. One thing I thought interesting about this, Illinois State canceled on March 21st. That was one day after they beat Western Illinois for their first win of the season. Western Illinois cancels on April 5th, 2 days after they beat Youngstown State for their first win of the season. The thing is, they're not canceling because they have a bunch of COVID positives. They're canceling because they have injuries. Now, I don't want to sound like a dick, but I kind of am going to because that's not how sports work. Yeah. If you had COVID running through your program, okay, yes, cancel your season. But when has a team ever canceled the rest of their season because they have too many injuries? There are like 80 scholarship football players on a college football team.
Yeah.
I might be exaggerating, but I'm pretty sure there's at least 70. And you can't fill a position? I think it was specifically Illinois State said they had too many injuries on their defensive line. We couldn't fill the room. Put some linebackers up there. Play your schedules that you committed to play. and I don't want to say they're using COVID as an excuse, because COVID is not an excuse for anything. If you're worried about COVID and that's why you canceled, okay. But I haven't seen either of those programs say that they've had any COVID positives. They're simply quitting their football season. And that's what bothers me. Also, probably bothers me because SIU was supposed to play them back-to-back weeks, and SIU's fighting for a playoff spot, and it probably would have been 2 easy wins for SIU. That's neither here nor there, but that's really kind of why I'm probably pretty mad about this.
Yeah. No,
But
I know that
that's
a lot
where
of
I'm at.
people are fired up about. No, a lot of people fired up about this. A lot of people at Southern, when they saw this, I saw Nick Hill, release a statement on the situation, and our good friend Mike Reese has been fired up, and I get it. I understand. And my fear, not that it was a real fear, but my initial thought when they announced that they were going to play FCS football in the spring, my thought at the time, it kind of was a fear, I guess, was that they may not take it seriously. And I think that's the case here. I don't think everybody's taking it seriously, and it is what it is. We'll obviously have the COVID issues, but their concern is we're supposed to play another season that starts 4 months from now, and it sucks, but I get that to an extent. When you're that terrible in a particular season, then it's easy to say, well, we got to be ready to play here in another 4 to 5 months, so let's just shut it down now. That sucks for everybody else. I'm not going to say that was, foreseen circumstances, but I'm not, I guess what I'm getting at is I'm not shocked that not everybody was taking the season seriously. I guess that just doesn't surprise me. So I don't know. That was kind of my initial thought. It does suck for Southern because it was 2 back-to-back games that they lost. The one on April 3rd, they're supposed to play at Illinois State, and then April 10th, yesterday, this weekend, they're supposed to play Western. So they did get a game added that they'll play next Saturday against Southeastern Louisiana. And as you said, Southern's fighting for a playoff spot. They're 4-3 on the season, but their 3 losses are teams that are all at the very top of the conference standings and only have 1 loss. So I don't know what's going to happen, and I can understand everybody's frustration down there with everything going on with those programs. It definitely sucks. I would still think, and I haven't been following FCS football all that closely, I would still think Southern would still be in the mix, just considering who they have beaten, including North Dakota State. But I guess we'll have to see what happens there. But not a good situation. But I have to think that just not everybody was really taking this season seriously, and especially when you have 1 win by that point in the year, it's easy to say we're going to shut it down. We're going to get ready for September, and that's pretty much what they did.
Awful convenient that they canceled their seasons after each team got their first win. Just that's all I'm saying.
I agree. So we'll move from football to a little bit of golf. Craig is our resident golf expert. Craig, I assume you spent some time on your vacation today to watch the Masters. Am I right?
That would be a correct assumption.
Is it safe to assume that you're not vacationing in Augusta?
I never said I wasn't.
Oh, well. Then why do you have a very boring background behind you and not something more fun?
Because it's dark.
Good point. Craig, talk about let's talk about this weekend. I know rain was a factor for him in Georgia, but what was the result today? What are your thoughts? Give it all to me, man. Just hit me.
Yeah, it was kind of anticlimactic heading into the day, at least on paper. Hideki Matsuyama had a pretty big lead, I think 5-shot lead heading into the final round. He does hold on to win, so he shoots 1 over today to finish at 10 under. But he made it interesting, man. He had a 6-shot lead on the back 9, and he only won by 1. So there was almost catastrophe for Hideki Matsuyama, but he goes 10 under to win it. Will Zalatoris, 24-year-old Will Zalatoris, second at 9 under. But yeah, it was a good one. Before I get too far in, I just want to read the top 10. And Logan, I know you're not a golf fan, but I want you to tell me how many of these 10 golfers that you know.
Well, I'm looking
and
at the
be
top
honest
five
with
right
me.
now, and I know one of the top five. So.
Okay, this was going to be my point, so I'm going to keep going. Why don't you just look and tell me how many you know? Hideki Matsuyama, Will Zalatoris, Jordan Spieth, Xander Schauffele, John Rahm, Mark Leishman, Justin Rose, Patrick Reed, Corey Connors, Cameron Smith, and Tony Finau. How many of those names do you know?
I mean, I probably heard a couple of those names, but Jordan Spieth is really the only one that I'm like familiar with.
Yes, and that is my point about this year's Masters, because the big names either missed the cut or didn't play well. I mean, Brooks Koepka, we talked about him last week, how he's hurt. He had a knee injury. And I don't know how much you watched or if any of our listeners / viewers watched. You know how they squat down and like get low to the green so they can read their putts? He couldn't bend his right knee. So he would bend his left knee to squat and his right knee would be straight out, kind of like the Spider-Man pose. So he missed the cut. Dustin Johnson, the world number 1, the defending champ, he missed the cut. Of course, Rory McIlroy, he missed as well. But of course, Tiger Woods wasn't there, recovering from his car accident. I guess that's been more than a month ago. So you just didn't have the star power this year at the top of the leaderboard. Spieth was a good story because he hasn't been playing well in years past. Now this year he's figured things out and he is starting to play pretty good golf. I mean, he won last week and he comes up 3 shots short this week. And I mean, you do have some of those young guys. Zalatoris, like I said, 24 years old. You got Spieth. Xander Schauffele is a young name. John Rahm's a young name. Tony Finau always comes so close. I know he was 7 shots back, but it is a top 10 finish for him. He's been so close in so many majors. You know, you thought maybe this was his time. Someone on this podcast put some money on him to win. So a little disappointed in that, aren't you, Logan?
Very.
I threw some money on I threw some money Saturday morning. I threw some money on a couple guys I thought might make a weekend run. Neither of them worked out, but for the most part,
I didn't text you to ask for some bets, but that's fine.
I would not have told you to bet on Hideki Matsuyama, so I wasn't your guy for that.
That's okay. Because Craig, one of us is still waiting on money from the other person for other bets.
Okay,
so...
okay, stop. Let's not tell the public about that. Let's keep with golf right now. Kind of anticlimactic Sunday until the last 5 or 6 holes. Matsuyama went in the water on 15, so he lost some strokes there. But then Schauffele went in the water on 16 and gave all the strokes right back, so that kind of sealed it. But the Masters is always fun. I didn't get to watch any Saturday because I was on the road. But I watched the majority on Sunday. Always fun to watch. And now with the new schedule, the new major schedule, we get a major every month from here on out. So May will be the PGA Championship. June will be the U.S. Open, and July will be the Open Championship, I believe. I think that's right. So every 4 or 5 weeks or so, we'll get a major that we can watch, and those are always fun. But it was a good weekend. At least they got it close there on the last 3 or 4 holes for some excitement. But Hideki Matsuyama was also the first Japanese-born player to win the green jacket, and also he won the low amateur at the Masters 10 years ago. In 2011, he was the low amateur, and he's, I think, the 6th golfer to win both low amateur at the Masters and then go on to win the Masters. I don't have that list in front of me, but I think I saw like PGA Tour or ESPN tweet that out. So good accomplishment for him. He's had a pretty good career, just never been able to get the major, and now he's got one to his name. So good for him and for the country. I know Japan was really excited from what they said on the broadcast.
I didn't know. Well, no, I was just gonna say I didn't really know much about golfing in Japan. So didn't know that was.
There's
really
not a lot of
thing.
them. Yeah, there's
Okay.
not a lot. Although
Well,
they've had some good
terrific.
They've had some good representation throughout all of golf's history, but there's never been like 4 or 5 good Japanese players at the same time. There's always like that one or two that kind of carry the torch for them. I don't think there's ever been like a time where there's like 6 good Japanese golfers that kind of dominate the PGA Tour. But Matsuyama's probably one of the best to come from the country. He's pretty consistent.
So most importantly, though, I think what the people really want to really care about, really want to know about, is did you have any sort of success with the Masters with your finances?
No.
Oh, dang.
I put it was late. I got in on the picks to win. I went with Tony Finau and Cameron Champ. Those did not work out well. Tony got a top 10 finish. Cameron Champ had a rough weekend. He finished 1 over, so 11 shots back. And I knew this was going to happen. We talked about that pool that I'm in last week where you get 6 golfers and you take the best 5. I drafted my team Wednesday night, and I was like, oh, I got 6 quality guys. Like this, I feel really confident in this. And nope, I finished 39th out of 50. So that did not work out too well for me. And that always happens when I'm confident in my team. They never do well, but when I'm questioning my picks is when I always do well. But we'll get them next time, next month. PGA
I was going to say, I guess you'll have to do better. Have to do better next month for that. So looking forward to hearing all about the money that you lose on golf the rest of the summer. That's going to be the highlight of my show.
PGA Championships at Kiowa Island in South Carolina, and that's a fun one. That could be good. But we can move on now. That's enough golf.
Are you going? Will you be recording a show from there? Oh, that's a shame.
Never say never.
That's
actually.
A shame. Okay, we're gonna move real quickly. Golf over to baseball. We got a week or so into the Major League Baseball season. Neither of our teams have played particularly well. They're both right around 500. Have you watched much Cardinal baseball to this point? What have you seen from your Cardinals that you've liked, and what have you seen from your Cardinals that you don't like? I'm pretty sure I saw one tweet at least about rebuilding the roster or something stupid like that. I don't know what you said, but
wow.
Go on. Or
so
whatever.
I don't know. I guess it's and I find myself debating on whether or not to critique the front office because they did trade for the best third baseman in baseball. So, I mean, you can't really fault them for not trying.
You brought back first ballot Hall of Famer in Yadi Molina.
Yeah, which he's playing. He's playing excellent baseball right now.
Okay, go on. Sorry to interrupt you.
So, I mean, I hate doing this, but you bring in Nolan Arenado, who the Rockies pay you to take Nolan Arenado from them, but you don't do anything else except bring back Wainwright and Molina. So the Cardinals are trotting out an outfield there right now. Well, before today, because they brought Lane Thomas up, Tyler O'Neill went to the IL. So your outfield is Austin Dean. Yeah, do you know that name? Because not many people do.
MLB The Show, but
exactly. Lane Thomas, who missed I think 2 fly balls today. Dylan Carlson, and you're rotating Justin Williams in right field when Carlson is in center. Do you know that name?
No, sir.
Exactly. Starting rotation, you got Jack Flaherty, potential perennial ace. Adam Wainwright is what he is. He's either throwing 7 innings of 2-hit ball or he's given up 8 runs. Carlos Martinez, who you never know what you're going to get, and then John Gant and Daniel Ponce de Leon are your last two starters. So you bring in Nolan Arenado, and you don't do anything else, and this is what you get. You decline the option on Colton Wong, so you can trot Matt Carpenter out there at second base, try Tommy Edman in the outfield, or bring Matt Carpenter in to pinch hit in a bases loaded situation where he swings and misses twice and then takes a third pitch strike right down the middle. Matt Carpenter went 2 for 37 in spring training. He got 2 hits all of spring training, and you think it's good to throw him in the starting lineup 3 days in a row? No, it's not. That's my issue.
No.
Is you bring in Nolan Arenado, and there's nothing else. The top 3 guys in the lineup, top 4 if you count Yachty, because Yachty's playing and hitting the ball really well, are playing good. Tommy Edman, Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, Yadier Molina. Even Jack Flaherty has struggled. So there's just no depth, I think, is the crux of the Cardinals' issues right now. Daniel Ponce de Leon is your fourth starter, got shelled today. So I know we're still early, but KK Kim is coming back. So there's another arm for you. So De Leon and John Gant one of them will no longer be in their rotation. But that's where the Cardinals are at. And I know they swept the Marlins, had a pretty good series in Miami, but they dropped 2 of 3 to Milwaukee this weekend. But I just don't think once you get past that 4 spot in the lineup, there's one person that you're scared of, and that's Dylan Carlson. Also, I think that Schilt isn't providing the best lineup right now. I don't like Goldschmidt and Arenado hitting 2-3. I think they should hit 3-4. Put Carlson in the 2 hole. And then protect him with Yachty or something. So there's a lot that I would change, but I'm not freaking out. I haven't hit the panic button yet because it is still April 11th.
It's April 11th.
I don't like the
April
roster.
11th.
I don't like the roster.
Okay,
I don't think there's any depth.
You had a lot more to say about this situation than I ever anticipated you saying. So that's good. I mean, I'm glad that you at least we have something to talk about this season, because Lord knows they're not going to do anything about the depth, at least for 4 months. So,
right.
I mean, whatever. That's
sound
terrific. That sound like what?
You sound like annoyed that I just went on that little mini rant there. You're like, it sounds like you want me to shut up.
No, I don't. I want you to ramble on as long as you want about the Cardinals, because that's just terrific. And you're right. I do agree with you. And I think that kind of goes back to some of the conversations we've had before the season started about both of these teams, both the Cubs and the Cardinals, just not doing much of anything in the offseason and not really helping to position yourself in a better spot to win. As we said, it's April 11th. It's a little too early to start really complaining too much. Both of these teams are sitting right around 500. The Cubs have looked okay at times, but there were a few games in there where they could barely get a hit. Not much coming from the offense for the Cubs right now. I mean, a couple homers for both Baez and Bryant. If both of those two can hit the ball well, I think the Cubs will be in a good spot. Jake Arrieta has been terrific for the Cubs in his 2 starts. He's only allowed 3 runs in 12 innings, I think, for those. The Cubs bullpen is a question mark. Craig Kimbrell looks great. I mean, he looks back to being the Craig Kimbrell that was one of the best closers in baseball, if not the best closer in baseball for several years. So
because he's got the best name in baseball
too. I didn't say that, you did. But yeah, other than after him and Alec Mills and maybe Andrew Chafin, the bullpen could be a little rocky, but we'll see. Cubs are 4-4, as I said. They got a lot of work to do.
What is the issue with the bats? I mean, because they got like 1 hit 2 games in a row, and that was their problem last year, is they couldn't hit. Is it a hitting coach? Is it an approach type of thing? Because we talked
I don't know.
preseason that they have probably the best lineup in the Central.
And yeah, but I've also said that for the last couple of years, and it hasn't really mounted to anything. I don't know. I mean, then you have players like Jock Peterson who lit it up in spring training, and now he's hitting 120. I don't know. I mean, I part of me just thinks that they'll eventually get it figured out. But like the Cardinals, they also don't really have a ton of depth. I mean, they're rocking a bench right now. Jake Marisnik, Eric Sogard, and Matt Duffy. Now, granted, the Cubs haven't had the injury issues right now so far. Knock, knock, knock. But you know, we'll have to see what happens. The Cubs alternate site AAA team or whatever, they're in South Bend right now, and they were supposed to play a game yesterday against the Tigers alternate site team. They ended up playing about half of an inning. I don't know. They didn't even get it through a full inning before the rain came down, but it was good to at least see Austin Romine playing in that game. Looks to me like he'll be ready, so he's at least an upgrade at the backup catcher position over Tony Walters. But other than that, they don't have a ton of depth either. Nico Horner's down there, but I don't really know what role he's going to play either. We'll just have to see. I mean, they're just not hitting the ball right now. I don't know why that is. They've had these issues for years. I hate to say that it's going to result in blowing everything up, but if they don't figure it out, I don't really know what else you do. So I can rant all I want about the lack of extensions with some of these key players, but if they're not hitting the ball, then I don't know. I don't know what you do. But as I said, it's April 11th. They played 8 games this season. I'm not here to worry yet. I'm not ready to hit the panic button, as you said.
I'm not either.
But I'm great. I'm glad. I'm glad because it's April.
I just have
11th.
issues with how the roster's constructed.
I understand that. I understand because as you pointed out, I'm a pretty knowledgeable baseball person, and I don't even know some of those names you're throwing out there. So, yeah, when you lack depth like that, it definitely provides some issues. So, Craig, before we go, you are you a new Xbox person, or have you always been an Xbox person? Because I feel like you were a PlayStation person.
Well, I had PlayStation. I'm going to give you all kinds of history here. I had a PlayStation 2,
of course,
regular Xbox 360, but then they stopped making MVP Baseball, and the show was only on PlayStation. So I bought a PlayStation 4 just for the show. Okay. And then now, just recently, I have purchased the Xbox Series X.
So before we get into the main topic here, is there a reason why you went to Xbox this time around as opposed to going to the PS5?
Kind of. And it wasn't really, I think it was like a graphics thing. Like the video quality and the graphics package was more high powered on the Xbox Series X than the PS5. Okay. So that was it. And I've got a PS. I've got a PS4, so I don't understand. I'll just get the other. Hey Siri. Guest appearance.
What did she say? I don't know. That was weird. Okay. The reason I bring this up is because MLB The Show 21, which has long been the only really major player in the baseball video game world, will be coming out to both PlayStation and Xbox. So I know as a back and forth Xbox PlayStation person now with an Xbox, that you're very excited about that. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. Baseball, MLB The Show is my favorite video game. On any platform. And I've got it comes out on the 20th. So 2 days after I get back from my trip. So I'll be ready to go. But I'm excited that it's on Xbox now, and it's also on Xbox Game Pass, which I have purchased, so I don't have to buy the game because I pay for Game Pass monthly. So, yeah, it's a nice incentive for me. And they have Stadium Builder this year. I've already got it all planned out. I already know exactly what I'm doing. So we can talk about that now, or we can talk about that later.
Are you putting a baseball stadium in Picnickville? Or
Oh no.
Oh no. We're not relocating the Cardinals to Southern Illinois?
No.
Oh.
So
Okay.
a lot of my choices for franchise mode come down to two things: uniforms and stadium.
Yeah.
I love the Blue Jays uniforms. I hate their stadium. I love the A's uniforms. I love the Rays uniforms. I hate their stadium. Can you hear me?
Okay. Well, your mic cut out. I can hear you, but it's not your microphone. It's
I think my AirPods died or something
else. Yeah. Great.
Audio quality has changed, but first thing I'm doing is picking one of those three, building a stadium for them, and starting a franchise because their stadiums suck.
And we've had this discussion offline, but do we know if it's going to be? You can't do expansion teams yet, can you?
I don't think
because that's what I wanted to have. I didn't really mention this. I'm also a big MLB The Show person, and that's the only reason I still have a PlayStation. And it's the main reason why I never switched to an Xbox is because of MLB The Show. I play franchise mode all the time, but I would love I love the idea of Stadium Creator, and I like that they integrated the create your own or relocation and all that stuff last year. But I still would love there to be an expansion option like there is in 2K.
Yeah.
In 2K, you can add I don't know how many teams, and you have expansion drafts. Like I've gotten to the point. I'll just geek myself here. I have especially during quarantine when I had nothing else to do for 6 months, I actually came up with my own expansion roster. Like I went through every team and figured out who they would keep and who they would not keep and who would be available for me to take. And I built a team that way. I just would love there to be an expansion team option. I want to put a team in Montreal. I want to put a team in, I don't know where else I'd put a team, but that's what I want. Sure, that'd be great. But that's what I want to see. I don't think we're getting it this year. No. The Stadium Creator though, I did watch a video on that the other day, and that is really cool. Yeah. There's so much you can do with that. I love MLB The Show. I love franchise mode. I play that all the time. I just wish that they would put as much time and effort into franchise mode as they do Diamond Dynasty and Road to the Show and some of the other stuff that they've done more developing on. Mm-hmm. I'm sure less people play franchise mode than they do Diamond Dynasty and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But either way, I'm excited about it. I haven't got a new next-gen console, though. I'm still rocking the PS4. That's what I'm planning on getting the game for. At some point, I might upgrade, but probably not in the immediate future. But either way, I'm also excited. You're excited. I would say we could play each other, but I don't know if that's going to be an option now.
I think it is. I think there's cross-platform.
But from PS4?
I'm pretty sure.
Or does it have to be next gen? Okay.
I don't know. We'll test it out for sure.
Well, maybe no one asked us to have to get a Twitch channel so that our two viewers can watch us play MLB The Show.
Yeah. Before we get off of video games, though, I'm pretty sure it was at the beginning of quarantine. Did you see that you can do college on NBA 2K?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did that.
I've done that. Yeah. I've done it. I don't know if I did it on, I don't know if I have this most recent game or not. I don't remember. But yeah, I have seen that.
Okay.
I miss college basketball and college football games. I know we're getting a college football game back. Maybe. I think. Sounds like we are. I don't know what it'll be, but I liked playing college basketball more. The game was never quite as clean as the football game was. But I would love to have a college basketball game again. Like, I played those games all the time.
Yeah.
That was definitely always my jam. At this point, I pretty much only play the show. I'll like go back and forth between like the show, and I got Planet Coaster, which is like the next generation of Roller Coaster Tycoon. So I got that for Christmas. So I've been playing that a little bit, but it's pretty much just MLB The Show for me. So anyway, we've
the amounts of NCAA football 14 since I got the revamp.
As you should. Who are you playing with? What's your team?
Just Illinois. I've started from scratch.
Real original, Craig. Real original.
I know. I got to start my. Got to start my coaching career from like the Texas State and work my way up. But
I had a good thing going with Hawaii for a while. My problem though with that game is that I threw way too many damn interceptions. Way too many interceptions.
You got to run the.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is
option.
about it that I just can't see it. I don't know.
I run two
Spoiler
plays.
alert. I play video games, but I'm not very good at video games. So
I run
we
two
ever
plays.
play each other.
I run the
That's
read
it?
option and the four verts. It's either
And
read
they-
option or it's four verts. That's all I run.
And nobody stops you, huh?
Nope.
Oh.
Brandon Peters threw like 600 touchdowns one year.
Oh, I'm surprised you didn't make yourself a quarterback.
No, I'm not that stuck up.
QB1.
Nah, I'm
No.
not a football player.
What are you?
Nothing.
You're just a guy who talks about sports on a podcast because you have nothing better to do with your time. I think that's going to wrap it up for today. Craig, do you have anything else you wanted to throw out there for the people this week? We're back on a normal schedule, which we didn't really talk about at the beginning of the show, but we're recording this on Sunday night. It'll be up on Monday, hopefully. That's going to be the plan from here on out. I know we were a little thrown off the last few weeks with the tournament and everything. But yeah, our plan from here on out, at least for the foreseeable future, is to do shows on Sundays and have those up for you guys on Mondays. So
Maybe not next
we'll
week.
see if that changes. There could be some changes there and there. This is very, very fluid, but we'll just have to see how it goes. But either way, Craig, it's been great to talk to you. I hope you enjoy the rest of your vacation at your undisclosed location. And soak up the sun. I was able to do that a few weeks ago, and it was lovely until it ended very poorly for me. So hopefully your vacation does not end as poorly as mine did a couple weeks ago, the same day that Illinois lost to Loyola. So anyway, that's been episode 8 of No One Asked Us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, email us if you have topics you want to talk about. Again, I promise we're going to have other things to do and people to bring on. We just haven't really got that far yet. And I'm sorry, I apologize if this episode has been a little messy, but you know what? It's fine. We're fine. Our Twitter's up above. Our Twitters are below as well. And yeah, this has been No One Asked Us, episode 8. We'll see you guys next week. For Craig, I'm Logan. Peace.